Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 722, and we are here live in Southwest Florida in my beautiful tropical backyard. It's a little chilly here today. It's like 60, I don't know, 63 or something, but warming up. Maybe that's what it was when I woke up. Feels a little warmer than that now. Anyway, I'm surviving. If you're joining me live, please say hello. Let me know if you're crafting this morning. Hi Grace, good morning. Hi Chris and Val. Can't seem to get that to turn off. Hi Angela and Wendy, good morning. Hi Lisa and Rita, Christine, Lorraine, Judy, Sean, good morning. Hi Joe. Oh yeah, happy hump day. Hi Cherie and Nadine. Happy hump day, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for the camel emojis. You know I love them. Hi, Carla and Donna and another Donna. Good morning. We have kitties out here this morning. Becker's out here. I don't think Bjorn is, though. Hi, Jackie. Thanks, Chris. Hi, Gina. Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Hi, Kiranjeet. Good morning. Hi, Thea and Barbara. Amazon shop. It is specifically meant to be worn off the shoulder. You can see that the yoke is definitely a lot wider than a normal crew neck t-shirt or even a boat neck t-shirt. I'm wearing it with a strapless bra, and it is just regular stretchy t-shirt material, and it definitely is long sleeve. It's not 3/4 sleeve. Even on my size frame, you can see that it comes all the way to my wrist, which is nice. When you're tall, sometimes things don't come all the way down to your wrist. Anyway, it's a stretchy fabric, and I'll show you. It's somewhat fitted throughout the body, and it comes to, I don't know, below my hip, but it's not super long. You could still tuck it in or leave it out. I think I was planning on wearing it to photograph the new Nova cowl this morning. I ran out of time for doing the photo shoot though. So hi Constance, and hi everybody, and Yana. Hi everybody, if I missed your names, I appreciate you all being here. Hi Sharon. So the Nova knit cowl is through editing. The only thing left to do is photography and editing of photos before I can upload the pattern. So the pattern will be out later today, and the tutorial video is done but still needs editing, like it's been filmed but not edited. So those two items will most likely come out later today, if not first thing tomorrow morning. So you can expect to find the pattern for the Nova knit Mobius very soon. This is a 2-ball project with Be So Sporty gold bling yarn in color peach sherbet, and the pattern, like I said, is done. It's almost ready to be released. It's just missing photos still, so I did ran out of time. Thank you, Grace. I think it's beautiful too. I'll try it on real quick so you can see. It's the perfect size for a Mobius. Yes, Donna, this is great for a beginner. It is not hard to do at all. Just follow the instructions and you will be fine. It is a very generous size for a Mobius cowl. It's about 18 inches wide by 40 inches long, which means you can wear it long and narrow like this. You can also wear it like a capelet if you pull it down like this. And if you even wanted a little more modest coverage while you're wearing it low like that, you could put a clip or a button or a pin right here too, and then you definitely have more of a capelet look. And I made it this long specifically so that you would have the third option of twisting it a second time and wearing it as a really voluminous cowl doubled up like that. So really so many wonderful ways to wear it. It's not difficult to make. It doesn't take long to make, and pattern will be out later today. So that's going to be called the Nova cowl. And having said that, I did want to show you that the crochet version of that same type of stitch pattern is coming along nicely. So you can see we did those elongated drop stitches and clustered them together in knitting on this one. And just to compare, you can see we've got a very similar texture going on here in crochet. And this technique is called broomstick crochet. So it's also deceptively simple. What you're doing is doing one row of single crochet, of clustering those stitches together over 5 loops from the previous row, where you elongate the loops on a dowel, a larger dowel. So the dowel that the thing that I'm using for a dowel is a US 50 or 25 millimeter knitting needle. And if we have time this morning, I'll show you how we do this. Like we did that little impromptu tutorial yesterday, I will do that again today. I'll probably be doing it in reverse though, simply because I'm at the point where I've already put the elongated loops onto the knitting needle for the broomstick elongated stitches, and so I'll be showing you how to do the cluster stitches first, and then after that how to put them back on the needle. Now this is not a graceful technique, I will say. Figuring out how it is comfortable for you to work broomstick lace, to be crocheting and holding that knitting needle at the same time. There might be a variety of ways that you experiment to get it right. For me, I find putting the knitting needle between my knees works for me, more so than using a table, but you know, just experiment and see what works for you. Sometimes people like to put a knitting needle under their armpit. I found that with this particular length of knitting needle and this particular broomstick crochet technique, that doesn't work for me either, but I'm going to show you a variety of techniques to suggest for you to try to see which one works best for you. But before I do that, let's see if there's any questions. Donna says between her knees works the best for her. Yeah, not the most attractive look in the world. Maybe not something you'd want to do in public even, but it works. Hi, Genevieve. But I'll wait for a second to see if there's any questions about anything I've talked about so far. Nothing to be nervous about, Kiranjit. You try something and it works, or you try something and it doesn't work, and you try again when you feel comfortable trying again. Most things don't work out perfectly the first time, you know? Carla says between the knees works best for her too. Okay. All right, I think I don't see any more questions, so I think we'll get started on showing the technique. Now, in order to show the technique while I'm doing the full-size project, we're going to have to do the whole row, right? So in order to show you the following row, I will have to complete this row. So please be patient with that. So I'm using this for this project. This is going to be a 1-ball project in Be So Toasty yarn, which is my #1 fingering weight merino wool and bamboo blended yarn, and it comes 590 yards per ball. It will be a 1-ball project, and this is hand-dyed color cactus flower. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook and a US 50 or 25 millimeter knitting needle. So I will have to show you how we put these stitches on after I do the row that I'm going to show you first. So first I want to show you how I take the stitches out. I might have to fix the camera here too. How do I do this? I think that I even keep this on my lap too. This isn't going to be attractive, but oh well. Okay, so I've just got the base of the knitting needle on my left thigh, and that's where I'm going, and I'm just sliding the stitches up to the edge, the tapered edge of the knitting needle. And I told you I'm working in clusters of 5, so I'm pulling 5 stitches to the edge of the needle and trying to pull them into that tapered spot, so that now that they're the length of the thicker side of the needle, to put them on the tapered edge means there's wiggle room now to insert my crochet hook into all 5 stitches. So I'm going to insert my crochet hook into all 5 stitches, then grab my working yarn and let it elongate to make to match the length of these stitches. Slip it in there, then chain 1 and work 5 single crochet. Oh crap, hold on. All right, well, this is good. Making mistakes is always an opportunity to show people, to show anybody that they can be fixed. Okay, I'm just going to put them back on one at a time. Now, when you're using a table, you can actually slide all of these off the knitting needle and work on the table. And we could do that in another example to show you, but I think it's safer, especially if you're nervous about trying something new. I think it's safer to work pulling little bits at a time. So we were at the point where we were going to crochet 5 stitches into those 5 loops. So remember yesterday we talked about the fact that when we're clustering 5 stitches together, in order to maintain our same stitch count, we need to put 5 stitches into that clustered set of stitches. So we pulled 5 long loops and we single crocheted into all 5 of them, and that way we're maintaining our original stitch count. Okay, so now we've got our 5 single crochets crocheted into the collective cluster of those 5 elongated loops, and we're ready to move on. So now we'll slide our loops up the knitting needle again, and you want to take the next 5 loops and slide them up into the tapered section of your knitting needle so that there's some wiggle room again. Once you slide them up into the tapered section, you can see there's wiggle room there, and it's a lot easier to get your crochet hook into those stitches. And notice I'm going from the base there where I can see that space between the tapering of the knitting needle and the loops. And as I do that, I slide the loops off of the knitting needle and onto the 5 loops. Now, taking my working yarn, I'm going to work 5 single crochets into that cluster of 5 loops. And that way I'm representing all 5 stitches and maintaining my stitch count. Now, is it a little cumbersome to hold the knitting needle while doing this? Yes, but it is not something you can't get used to. I suggest that you take your time, try to relax. Anytime you get a little too tense about learning something new, walk away and take a break. I've been watching a Sean Connery James Bond marathon all week while working on this piece, so I think this was a good 2.5 movies yesterday. I've watched Dr. No, and I forget what the second one was I watched, and then I watched Diamonds Are Forever yesterday. Yes, once you get the hang of it, this does work. This does move very quickly. The key is just getting used to the process, that's all. Actually, this is a quick project. Because the rows are so long, you'd be amazed at how much fabric you actually make. Like each of these repeats is at least 1.5 inches long, if not 2 inches long. So you figure you're doing 2 rows for 1.5 or 2 inches. That actually does make it a relatively fast project, to be honest with you. If you were doing rows of single crochet, it would take 9 or 10 rows to make this much height, and so that makes it a quick project, I think. And it makes it a project that you get a lot of bang for your buck yardage wise. So we're going to be able to get a much greater yardage, or we're going to get a much larger piece of fabric with this particular stitch pattern than we would with a more dense stitch pattern, like doing rows of single crochet or double crochet. All right, so I'm just trying to work my way across this row so that I can finish up and show you the next row. And then that's it. It's just a 2-row repeat to make this project, which is also pretty amazing. Once you learn this technique, keep in mind, just like I said yesterday, you could use this to make the twisted Mobius cowl that the pattern calls for, or you could use this fabric to make a scarf or a rectangular shawl or even a throw. It's a 2-dimensional flat fabric, so it makes a rectangle, so you could make any type of a rectangle you want. I even showed you a hat yesterday that features this technique, hat in Crochet So Fine book. I'm going to try to read the comments as I go here, but we're almost done with this row, and then I can show you the next row. So I'm just pulling 5 loops at a time and then crocheting 5 single crochets into that set of 5 loops so that we are getting that beautiful cluster and also maintaining our original stitch count. Don't think I'm missing any questions. I think there's more of a side conversation going on while I go, so that's good. If you do have a question for me, please feel welcome to ask. That's the beauty of the live stream. If I can answer questions as I go or stop and show you something as I go, I'm happy to do that. I think that's the beauty of doing these little mini tutorials live. Especially like when I drop stitches. How awesome was that, that you got to see how I didn't panic under pressure and how I calmly and slowly put those stitches back on the needle. I think it's really awesome anytime I can show you a mistake and show you how to fix it, because I think that's 90% of learning a craft, don't you? Or learning anything in general is learning how to, learning how you back out of mistakes. That's the key. Because we are human beings and we are going to make mistakes. Yes, Cherie, you can use a different size needle. A different size needle would give you different size loops. So if you wanted the loops to be shorter, you would use a smaller knitting needle, and if you wanted the loops to be larger, you could use a bigger needle. Now, broomstick lace obviously comes from the idea of using a broomstick, so if you wanted much larger loops, you could go to the hardware store and buy any size dowel, or even if you could find a handle on a broom or a mop or something, you could use any type of a dowel. I happen to like this size dowel, which is the US 50 25 millimeter knitting needle, and I like that it is tapered at the end, but you could use anything round and dowel-like you could absolutely use to create these elongated loops. So yes, and if you use a larger dowel, you would get a longer loop, and if you used a smaller dowel, you would get a shorter loop. And someone said earlier that they thought this was a slow technique, and I disagree. I think it's a fast technique, but it is a faster technique based on how long those loops are, right? The longer the loops are, the quicker you're making a length of fabric, and the shorter the loops are, the slower it would be. And also the more dense it would be. A shorter loop would be closer to the density of a regular crochet stitch, so you would get a more dense fabric, whereas the longer these loops are, the thinner the fabric is, and the more lacy and drapey it would be. Okay, we are definitely in the home stretch now. We've got our last 5 stitches, and I can drop that knitting needle and work our last 5 single crochets at the end of the row. Okay, So now we're ready to begin the second row. Well, actually the first row, you would do the picking up and putting on the dowel first, and then you would do this row second. That's just happens to be where I was in the project when, at this point. Oh man, this is not an attractive view of me. Anyway, so I put the knitting needle between my knees and then place that working loop on my crochet hook on the knitting needle. Let's see if we can get this from the side even. We might even get a kitty. Oh, we do have a kitty cameo. Can you, oh, there's Becker. He's sitting on that chair over there. Becker? No, that's Bjorn. Bjorn's on the chair and Becker's all the way in the corner on the floor. I don't know if you can see him. Yeah, there he is. There we go. We have two kitty cameos this morning. Okay, so let's get this back. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so I've got the knitting needle between my knees, that first stitch working loop on the needle, and now I'm trying to keep my yarn to the back and stitches to the front. So I'm actually looking at the back side of the stitches here, and I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, elongate it, put it on the knitting needle, and then tighten it up. And be mindful that we want them to be in the right position. So you notice how as you're draping that stitch over, do you see how it wanted to wrap under the previous stitch? You don't want that. You want your stitches to be sitting properly. Okay, my yarn's now getting tight, so let me pull a little bit more from my ball. Okay, and so I'm going to be working into every single crochet and pulling a loop onto the knitting needle and then tightening it up. Not tight, you just want it to be on there taut, but you want to make sure that they're not overlapping at all. Now, would it be a deal breaker if they overlap? No, it's just going to give you more work when it comes time to pulling them back off and crocheting into them. And also, I like the fact that they're not crossed over here. They look very nice when they're lined up properly. If we allowed these to overlap here, this would not be as neat or smooth of a texture down here. So is it the end of the world? No, but is it, anytime you can be mindful and keep things in the proper place, it'll just give you a prettier finish, a prettier and more consistent fabric in the end. And I like pointing out that difference to you here too, because is it a deal breaker? No, but is it the difference between maybe seeing consistent texture among your stitches? Yes. Or having more work to do to try to fix them at the end? Yeah, that too. Okay, let's say you make a mistake along here too. Let's say that you find that there, as long as you're just working one stitch into each, one loop here, one elongated loop for each stitch on there, that's fine. It is in the second row when we pull the loops off and crochet into them. Let's say you only have let's say you've somehow missed a stitch and you only have 4 stitches over here to work into. As long as you work your 5 single crochets into it, you'll get your original stitch count back. So this is that would be an easy way to fix a mistake in here too. Now, if you had more than one mistake, it might be worth unraveling back. But if you only had one, I think that's pretty minor, and you could just adjust the number of single crochets in the cluster to bring it back to the correct stitch count. Did you see my needle was going down and I ended up starting to chase it and I had to catch myself to bring it back up? There's no reason for me to be chasing the needle because it started sliding down. It's better for me to just keep remembering to keep it tight between my knees, and then it won't slide down like that. And just fix it. You can see this is very repetitive, which makes it one of our favorites, a Zen project, right? You could absolutely do this while talking to friends. You could do this while watching a movie. Like I said, I watched 3 James Bond movies while doing this yesterday, and I'm about a third of the way done with with the project now. I want to achieve a 40-inch length like with the crochet, like with the knitting one, so that I have the ability to not only wear it as loose and down like a capelet, but I really want to be able to wear this as a doubled. Remember how I showed you how on the knit one you could wear it once and then you could wrap it a second time to make it a voluminous cowl? I want that option as well. So I showed you 3 different ways to style this in the knitting version, and I want to be able to have those 3 different versions in the crochet version, those 3 different styling options in the crochet version too. What's my favorite James Bond movie? Yikes! Oh gosh, I couldn't answer that. I love so many of them. I really do. I love so many of them. One thing of the Are Forever that I watched yesterday, I had forgotten that that was the movie that Kim Basinger is a James Bond girl, so that was fun. That one's from 1983. I actually enjoyed that one a lot. Haven't seen it in a while. But I will continue to look for, they happen to be free on Amazon Prime right now, so if anybody's an Amazon Prime member, James Bond movies are not always easy to watch. They're usually paid movies. So I'm taking advantage that while they're doing this memorial for Sean Connery, because he passed away this week, I'm taking advantage and watching all of them and doing my own little, I guess, memorial, because he is an actor that I really enjoyed so much, especially with James Bond. Okay, so you can see that that's what we would be doing to keep going across that row. And then if you refer back to the beginning of the video this morning, like if you're joining me now, I showed you how you pull these back off and cluster the stitches in. Let's see. Oh, that's exciting. Kristine's going to see her son in California for Christmas. That's wonderful. I don't know what your question is, Sharon. Deborah's getting Be So Cozy from today, and it shipped to Arkansas. Wonderful. Yes, shipping is very fast with me. I ship orders. I try very hard to ship orders within 24 hours of the order arriving. Obviously, there are circumstances that make that not possible sometimes, like an order coming in on Friday and not shipping till Monday. But in general, I work very hard to get orders out within 24 hours of receiving them. Yes, those were single crochets, Sherry, on this, or Cherie, on the second row. It's just single crochet, and the pattern will be out soon enough, and you'll be able to see how to do all of it. Just showing you a real quick tutorial on Broomstick Crochet this morning, just to get a start to get a flavor for it. Then by the time you get the pattern and the supplemental tutorial video, it'll not be so foreign at that point, right? At that point, you'll have seen a little taste of it. And I think the more frequently you can see different versions of the same tutorial, the more likely it is to really drive home better. Yeah, whatever makes sense to you, Sterling, that's a great idea. Carrie is order Be So Toasty Rose Petal will be there Friday. Wonderful. I'm so glad. Can't wait to see what you guys make with all the yarn. The Broomstick Lace cowl is going to be a 1-ball project. It's in Be So Toasty yarn, which is 590 yards per ball. The knit one was done in Be So Sporty Gold Bling, and that was a 2-ball project. Barbara just got her Be So Clean soap bottles, and they smell so good. Wonderful. You're the first person that I have personally heard of to receive soap shipments. So yay, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. Judy's posting links now. You can see, yes, Carla, you can do double crochet or half double crochet, or you could do more rows of stitches in between the loops. I am just doing 1 row of single crochet for every elongated loop Broomstick Lace, but you could do any stitch pattern in between. You could do 1 row, 5 rows, 10 rows. You could do anything in between them. Melanie received her Be So Clean soap too, and she loves the lavender. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. Lavender Citrus Sage was the first scent to sell out. It sold out in, I think, 3 hours, and we will be getting more soon. So if you're anxious to get some, if you're anxious to get anything that's sold out, always remember I have a wait list option on every product, every yarn color, every soap scent, every detail of anything. And so anytime something happens to be sold out, always put your email address on that wait list. It's private, it just goes to me, and then as soon as I upload new product to the shop for that item, you immediately get notified so that you can be the first to know when the product comes back in stock. Yeah, anytime something's sold out, I have a really great waitlist option that is so handy for everybody. Deborah loved the lavender too. Yeah, the lavender citrus sage is the scent, has lots of beautiful essential oils in there. I will start doing, I've been waiting for the soap to start arriving from that first batch of orders that went out before I start doing tutorials, but now that I see people are starting to get their orders, maybe we'll start doing a tutorial tomorrow. Wendy loves the lemongrass garden. Wonderful. I love that one too. I love all of them. But yeah, we'll start doing some, I'm going to try to do maybe some sort of a blocking or washing or cleaning tutorial once a week. I thought that might be fun, and there's so many different things I can teach you with the soap, so it's going to be super fun. I will probably have an announcement for the charity this week for Project Kristin Cares. I will probably have all of the charity announcements ready this week. I don't know what day this week, but I'm going to, as soon as I think it makes sense, I will announce it. The thing is, I can't announce one piece without the other, and I'm waiting on one thing to be able to announce them together. So, yeah, and that's all I'm going to say. So it might be tomorrow. If it's not tomorrow, Friday for sure. I'm pretty sure by Friday I'll be able to announce all of the charity, the new charity initiative for Project Kristin Cares. I'm super excited to tell you about all that. I'll probably cry because you know that's how I do. Anyway, yeah, Barbara's excited for more cleaning and blocking videos. Good, me too. It'll be so fun. I've got so many great things to teach you. We always have fun stuff to talk about here, don't we? There's always something new going on. If you like the podcast, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, we've got that red button in the corner. I know I speak for myself and our wonderful, amazing community here. I know we'd all love for you to join us. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the show and tell, the sneak peeks, chatting with me and everyone else here. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Bye-bye.